would like to call the meeting to order. And
I guess not.
I want to inform you that this meeting is being recorded by Westborough TV. And I would like us all to stand, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Welcome, Christy and Kim and
Shelby.
Shelby.
Sorry, we're hiding. That's okay, you're fine.
Okay. Hopefully everybody has read your minutes. So I would ask, are there any changes that anybody noticed?
Nancy, you did good.
On page 5, maybe add, where it says strobe can be used for fire detectors. Some of us forgot what they were for.
Oh, okay.
There's kind of
Oh, okay.
a hanging sentence.
Yeah, it was a hanging sentence, and I didn't know what they were going to use. So
See, and I didn't even pay any attention to that because I knew what it was for, so.
I'll insert for fire
Fire
detectors.
detection.
Yes.
Okay. Are there any other changes?
Well, just for the record, Nancy already told us that she corrected Sharon Gravelin's name.
Right.
So that's correct.
May I have a motion to accept the minutes as with the addition of the strobe light can be used for fire detectors?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay. I have good news. A week ago, middle of last week, Dana was up at Worcester Truck Body. The bus was in the garage. The roof had come off and they were working on it. So
Progress.
keep our fingers crossed. They said it would be the end of the month, so they got a couple more weeks. So I'm gonna hold them to that, but it is being worked on, so that's a good thing, so, yep.
Great news.
Yeah. Just a reminder about the board training on the 28th at 1:30 at the Shrewsbury Town Hall. And I need to know, like, who is going, or who, I mean, if everybody who's here is going, that's good. I've reserved 10 spots, but I can reserve a couple more if I need to. So is everybody?
Wants to raise our hand now? or-
Yes, please raise your hand if you're planning on going.
We're back
What
at
day
school.
is this?
Wednesday, the
Wednesday,
28th,
Okay.
At 1:30,
at the Shrewsbury
Yes.
Town Hall.
Shrewsbury Town Hall.
Very good.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay,
I've
2,
never been there.
3, 4.
address for that?
Yes.
Is it Maple?
Yes, I think it's Maple Avenue.
Maple Ave.
Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
I'll be away.
Okay.
Shrewsbury Town Hall.
So we get there on our own.
I mean, if you want a carpool, you can always start from here. I would say I'll have the bus take you, but Wednesday has become our busiest day recently, so I don't know if I can do that.
And it's the birthday lunch.
And it's the birthday lunch.
So,
So you're all required to be here, make salad and serve pizza, and then you can leave.
And
we'll,
we can leave,
and
okay.
we'll
I'll
clean
stay
up
here and
afterwards. Yeah.
Okay.
So,
Well, I'll be here for the birthday lunch anyways.
Oh,
I
okay,
will
so
too.
it's your B-Day, okay.
yeah, so if y'all wanna just like start here and whoever wants to drive can drive.
No, my birthday, but I help with, I help with the birthday lunches.
So,
She does a good job.
She does.
mhm.
I have some comments on new business. Is now the time to do it?
Not yet. We got old business. I think Guido and Linda and John can speak to this. So with your packet today, you got another chunk of paper that are the draft copies of the new, not new, revised, updated, behavior policy, responsibilities of the council, bylaws, and so on and so forth. Don't you like the way I got that word draft on there? I thought that was so cool when I figured out how to do that. But anyway, these can't be voted on today. We'll have to do them at our next meeting, provided there's not any, huge changes or whatever that anybody sees in that. If you have a question, you can talk to any one of us about anything that's in there. I think they're pretty basic.
Actually, I have one suggestion.
What?
I looked at the Shrewsbury Council has 7 people on their board, North only has 9. I wonder if you ever considered changing from 11 to 9.
Not my decision to make.
I'm throwing it out there for a discussion.
It's up to the selectmen. I mean, generally, up until recently, we haven't had problems filling the positions, but it's just, that's fine with me. It doesn't make any
So
difference
that
to
should
me.
go through the selectmen or?
I think so, wouldn't it?
First, or-
But it'd be good for you to have a discussion, because you could make a recommendation to the select board.
Mhm.
what is your main
Would that have to go through?
point, Diane? To
Well,
do
it
this.
seems like we have a lot, it seems like it takes us a while to find new members. And it would just reduce some of the angst on that issue. So I'm just wondering why we had 11 and surrounding towns have less.
It's been 11 since I got here, so I have no idea where that number came from.
So I just thought I'd pose the question.
Yeah, may I ask you, is that something that was set by town meeting vote? Do you know?
I have to go back and look. If it's not in the bylaws though, it's something the select board can usually change.
Yeah, I'd have to go back and look at the article and see what it says. I have that in my desk someplace.
I thought our purpose was to just distribute these today, so that the board members can look at them.
Yeah.
And then at the next meeting, we can then discuss all the issues.
No, I just thought I'd throw it out there so I
Yeah.
can mull it over in the meantime. and-
Yeah.
But Alma just said there's no problem getting people on the board.
Well, we generally haven't had a problem, but, I mean, the town's advertised now that there are vacancies on this board, so we'll see what happens.
Okay. Thank you.
John had something that he wanted to talk about, I guess.
Okay. John, did you have something you wanted to bring before the board today?
Well, on the first comment that I made, that I have a matter that I wish to bring before the board,
Yes.
I do. There was an article, I think, in the Community Advertiser about the golf club needing either renovation or replacement. The replacement was gonna be like $800,000, probably means $1.5 million by the time they get that.
That was the repair.
Christie just had a slight palpitation when you said that.
So I have a serious suggestion. I think that there ought to be a committee consisting of town leaders and members of the senior group here to consider building a community center at the location of the the golf club.
Hmm.
It's closer, I mean, there are a lot of reasons to include it, the town owns the property. It might be a golden opportunity to look at that. So I just throw it out for,
So it would become a community center or
well,
a senior center?
one of the recommendations in the survey that was done was that there be a combined center of elderly people, room for high school kids, and multi-generational use. So, I mean, all of that would have to be thrashed out, but I think it's an opportunity that may be missed if it's not seriously talked about.
So are you saying that you wanna get rid of the golf course?
No, not at
Well,
all.
how would you build a center?
Well, you build a building where the building exists now. You tear down the old building, which is pretty old,
Mm-hmm.
needs a
Lot more
substantial,
parking.
yeah,
It would go into the golf course area.
it might to some degree. I mean, I think that's all the area that needs to be discussed.
I agree, it'd be a great location, it's just letting you know.
It is.
And there's a lot of issues there.
There will be.
Yeah. Might be protesting golfers, who knows?
Well, you know, we lost the library vote, so the opportunities come along and you have to look at them seriously. You wanted to say something?
Yeah, I was just gonna add, so I'm actually on the golf club building use committee, which is the committee that's looking at the future use of that building, because there were so many issues, as you just said. And so we've just put out a survey that we're asking community members to fill out. It's online. It's a quick survey, and inclusive of that survey is the opportunity to write in what you think the building could be used for. So individually, and spread the word, please, that people should fill out that survey. It's gonna be available through the end of the month. And our charge from the select board is to make a recommendation for the use of that building by October 1st. So we will have a few more meetings through the summer. So it's, if you felt strongly as a council about that potential opportunity, you could draft a letter to the committee asking for that, so.
How do you find it on the website?
It's actually right on the front page when you go right to the town website. It's the very first thing under town news. I can send it to Alma.
The article that John was referring to in the paper said that there would be hard copies available at the senior center as well as somewhere else, but mentioned specifically the senior center.
I found out about it when I read it on the police
Yeah.
chief's Facebook page on Saturday.
Alright, so I can send you the link and then we can print some hard copies.
Okay.
Yeah, I was gonna ask how do people get it,
Yeah.
they want, and a lot of senior people are not
Nice to,
computer literate, or may not even have a computer.
That's all.
Thank you.
great. Great idea.
That could be a good, yes.
If this comes under new business, I want to make a couple of comments on the survey report.
Well, we're getting to that. That's
Oh, I don't see it here.
discussion on priority of the needs assessment.
Oh, is that what that is?
Yep.
Okay, sorry.
Is there any other new business, Alma? Okay, shall we move on to the new business discussion?
Take it away.
More readings.
Take one and pass it on,
Yep.
please.
I think it's one.
Is this the same thing or
Yeah, it's the same thing.
Yeah, there's a one pager that's printed on both sides, and then there's a staple.
Okay.
Except this, mine is blank.
There,
More coming?
do you have another?
I assume you know it all.
Oh,
I
sorry.
got the last.
No, just let me look at it real quick. I probably-
Oh, okay.
Oh, no, I haven't seen this. Huh? No, I haven't got anything yet.
Oh.
No, there's two. Take one.
Is this
That's, yeah, it's fine.
Oh, John's Brewster.
Bruce?
Okay, that works.
Yes.
Thank you.
Everybody have, do you need a copy?
Yeah. Thank you.
Well, first, thank you. I think we had a good turnout for the evening presentation on the findings. We had Caitlin Coyle from UMass Boston came out with her team, did a presentation here. I think we had a pretty good turnout, had some good feedback, some good discussion. I know since our last meeting, hopefully you all have had a chance to look a little more in depth at the report as well. And I think we were interested in both hearing some thoughts and some feedback, as well as discussion of next steps and where we're seeing a path forward to move forward with some of the recommendations, an implementation plan, all of that. So, do you want to jump in with anything, or I guess sounds like there's some comments, happy to hear. We wanted to, so we have to, this is to the select board, because we're gonna bring this to the select board tomorrow evening as our charge to present some next steps. So I think, do you wanna explain why there's the Brewster? Yes, so what we're recommending in terms of next steps, there's a few pieces to it. One is to establish a working group that would look to set very specific, a 5-year plan, develop a 5-year plan, sort of a roadmap to move forward. If you take a look, this is an example of one that was done in Brewster, and I think particularly the second half, if you go to the second portion, Appendix A, page 18, lays out goals and objectives. So Brewster also had a needs assessment completed, and then this was something that they developed once they had the report, had the recommendations in terms of moving forward. So we envision pulling together a working group. The memo outlines what that might look like in terms of some staff representation, myself, likely Alma, a member of the senior center, a representative from the Council on Aging. We've identified a representative from the Affordable Housing Trust because of the significance, housing issues were a key theme. We're also thinking a member of the select board, and just looking at what we said, a couple of community members. And then it's a working group, so it's not a public body, we wouldn't have to post meetings. We think there would also be opportunity to pull in some other staff expertise depending on what the, objective or the specific action items might be that we're talking about. So for instance, library staff, in a lot of communities, libraries are instrumental in the educational programming and speaker series, those types of things. We also would include the recreation director, helping maybe expand some recreational programming. And then public health staff if there's an interest or a need. So we would have access to more than just the core membership, but the idea here is to come up with a pretty well-rounded plan that I know there's a lot in the report, and we're certainly not gonna be able to address every item, but we already had an initial brainstorming meeting. Alma, the recreation director, Jen Kirkland, and Maureen Amiot from the library, and Alma, I think, was that an hour meeting?
At least, yeah.
I think we had, a couple pages worth of just ideas and thoughts of things to pursue. The plan would be we'd start meeting pretty quickly and do this work over the summer, and have a 5-year plan drafted by October 1st. In the meantime, though, we're not sitting idly. We're already jumping into some things. One of the areas that Alma in particularly has an interest and some thoughts on is looking into some of the caregiver support opportunities to expand the work that's already being done. That there's an acknowledgement that many of the things that are talked about in the report, they're happening, and what we're really talking about is maybe expanding the services. So we've talked about looking at some models that Alma's aware of to expand the caregiver respite, potentially offer something on a Saturday, potentially offer some things in the home. So she's already actively exploring that. Maureen at the library is aware of a speaker series that another community does, partnering with a college, so she's doing some legwork on that. In recreation, Jen has a host of ideas, some of them ready to implement this summer, some outdoor, a variety of activities, some, not a concert series, but some programming, potentially things at various parks, as well as I think a hiking club was something that came up. So again, these are things that are pretty, I don't wanna say low-hanging fruit, but they're things we can implement quickly. They don't require a ton of new resources. But then we also, as part of the 5-year plan, as we've discussed, and I think this came up during the presentation as well, a lot of what we're going to be talking about will require additional resources. So that will be part of this process too, is to come up with the actions and then the resources and the partners. Because again, keep in mind, this is not just work of the town per se, there are partners in the community that can help and can support, so that would be part of this plan as well. I just wanna say, so if you look at the Brewster report, this was prepared by their council on aging, they call it the Council on Aging Advisory Board. We've always talked about this study as being a town-wide study, and that the responses to it should be a town-wide effort, which is why Kim has identified this group, but also multiple other groups that would really be working on some other needs that were identified in the assessment. But that second piece that Kim was talking about, some additional programming, different ideas where we could collaborate with different departments, even communication, that's something that we've identified that we think that this council could be working on, even while we're working on this plan. So some of the things that Kim just raised, I was telling Alma this morning, we've already posted about the volunteer breakfast on Facebook, and I think we got more comments and likes on that than we get on most things. So I think, these are ways that we can just reach out to the community and say, here's all the good things that maybe you didn't know were happening. We have a communications assistant in our office who was able to post those things. So just, again, sort of reevaluating how we're reaching out to the community and reevaluating programs. And as council members, it's really helpful for you to tell Alma and staff what you're hearing people are wanting, or what you're hearing maybe other towns are trying, so. So one of as Christy said, this is something we're taking to the board tomorrow night, so we'd be interested in thoughts. I know the most immediate, as we think about this, there is a lot in the report, and on the memo, both the report and then how I've laid it out in the memo, we've categorized it into some overarching areas of interest and focus. I think some of those will require longer term investments. We know the housing issue, the fact that there aren't a lot of downsizing opportunities. A response to that is very different than a response to maybe
connecting people with existing transportation resources, or putting a program in place that's a, educational program on travel or something like that. So I think it's going to be a wide range of things that we're talking about, and the idea is to really put a plan in place that we would all, as Christy said, we would all be working toward, and we can help, we can communicate to the community, these are the opportunities, and the idea of getting the word out, getting more interest and more involvement. And I think one of the things that we've talked about too is both drawing people up here to activities at the senior center, but also recognizing that there are partners in the community. Things for seniors can happen at the library, they can happen on the fields and in the golf course, all of those places. So really reframing kind of how broadly we think about where services and programs are delivered.
And that October 1st deadline lines up with the next budget process. So that's really why we were driving towards doing this work in the summer. And then things can be included in the budget, in the senior center budget or other budgets. They can go through the capital plan if it's a capital item. That really prepares us for the next budget cycle.
I have a question.
Great.
What's the purpose of our reviewing the Brewster material? Is that just for ideas?
No, it's.
I mean, we had a very extensive report that was done.
So the report, Brewster has a similar report, and then they created this 5-year plan. So this is just an example of what this group that we're talking about would be creating.
Is this their 5-year plan?
This is their 5-year plan, yeah.
So I have 2 points. In reference to communication, I never see anything in the community advocate, for example, that says what's going on in the senior center. And I know that's one of the items that was brought up in the survey. And I've heard it from my neighbors. They don't know the programs or what's going on here. Not everybody gets the newsletter. So I think the advocate a lot is throughout the town also, and I don't see why there couldn't be something in the advocate for people particularly who aren't on Facebook or other social media. I think there has to be a focus besides social media for our age group. Number 2, I know it's not high priority, but there were a lot of complaints about how the senior center appears, especially when they compare it to Marlborough, to Northborough, even to Shrewsbury. So I have 2 suggestions. One would be to paint the main room, a nice bright, either a blue or pink. These are used in hospitals. They're neutral colors that people will react positively to. My other suggestion would be, as a community service, perhaps to find the art students or other students in the high school to give us some paintings or posters to put up on these bare walls, to brighten it up. And it could be on a rotating basis, so they're changing. It's just 2 suggestions. I did mention it to my neighbors to see how it would fly. They love both suggestions, so I'm just throwing it out there. Alma, you look like a no.
No, painting these pink blocks is not an easy task. It probably will take about 7 coats of paint because they're very porous. That's been talked about in the past, and it's not really, I mean, if you look at the kitchen, it doesn't paint well. As far as artwork, I'm willing to put up whatever. We've actually had displays of individuals' artwork on that wall right on the other side of here. Several pieces from different artists. That's fine with me. But we're about to get some painting done in here anyway, right now, but that's fine. And I agree but the problem is that I feel, this is my own issue and I'll deal with it, but I don't have any control over how this building was built or what it looked like when it was built.
Oh, we know
And
that.
to complain about the actual physical building is very unproductive as far as I'm concerned, because there's nothing we can do about it but try to make it flowers on the table and, things in the doorway and, just try to keep it clean and neat and put together and whatever. I can't help the pipes in the big room or whatever.
I think for the age of our building, the size of our building, we accomplish quite a lot
Yeah.
here. We all need to think about the future. I have made it a point to visit some of these surrounding senior centers. And yes, you pull into the parking lot and here's this grandiose building, but you go inside, the rooms are small. They cannot accommodate in some of their gathering rooms the amount of people that we have had in our rooms. Some of the activities we offer here, and they're charging more for them. As far as publicity, I would love to see all of our seniors receive the senior scene. It's $6 a year.
Mhm.
I would like to pursue,
And maybe that's something we can look at to get into the budget or use some formula grant money for going forward, is to mail that to everybody every month.
right,
And that can be done right from LPI in Connecticut.
right.
Maybe we would get it sooner if they did, because it comes out at least a week after the first
No, it
week of
doesn't.
the month. I get it.
I know
I
that,
get
but
it
I'm
the
just
first
saying
week.
that this particular one was that because of the holiday, and I'll take responsibility for that. But usually it's here, it's always here by the
No, I'm
first of
talking
the
about in
month.
the mail.
Well, you know
I
what?
get it in the mail.
Once I put the stamp on it and put it in the mailbox down there, I don't have any control over that,
Exactly.
unfortunately.
Right.
I mean, my mother gets one in Milford, and it usually takes anywhere from 14 to 17 days for her to get it in Milford. So it's the mail, it's not, like I said, once we put the stamp on it and take it down there, there's nothing I can do about that, so.
Some of these, so I think related to the building, obviously those could be capital improvements, and so I think some of that stuff would come from this working group to put into the plan, because they would have, it's not the things that you're suggesting, but some of them would have some significant costs potentially. But I think the idea of mailing the newsletter is something that we should be thinking about for the next budget. And, we'll talk about how we can get it. I agree. I know that we don't have control over the mail, but also we want people to get it in time to sign up for the program. So that's something that we need to figure out.
We really do need, and we've talked about this many times, trying to get the newsletter written earlier in the month so that by the 14th of this month, we've got next month's newsletter ready to send out. And then we could make,
And I do get
that kind of
Marlborough,
timeline.
Northborough, and Shrewsbury
it would
before
mean
the
that,
first of the month, so how do they get it through their
well,
post
it would
office?
mean that we wouldn't have the latest information, but I think that's a fair trade-off, is that, there's some things that you can't get the information until later in the month, but hey, I'd rather get most of the information in an earlier newsletter than to get it.
Yeah, I think if 3 other
Yeah.
centers can get it through their post office the week before the month ends, a lot of us don't know why we can't get it in the same time frame.
Because it is available online.
But a lot of people aren't
So I
online,
know,
especially
I know that
seniors.
issue, but they maybe could, do you have a library or something, a computer library? So you could go down to the computer room there and
Yeah.
look at it online or
They could, but it's
until
not
we get
as
the physical.
convenient.
But
And
they're
they would
also,
need
I
someone
mean,
to
we
help
also
them.
send 100 of them up to your place that are in your mail room or whatever, your recreation room. Just like we
Right.
send them to Westborough Country Village and the Highlands and Walker Meadow. I mean, they go there, so.
But I
Congregational
do think,
too.
I
And
do
the
think that
churches, so.
this is a great example of something that the council might want to talk about at a future meeting, because we did hear in the senior needs assessment, and frankly, we hear it not just through this assessment and not just about the senior center, that communication can be improved. And so I think we need to think about ways that we can improve communication.
Well, we have been discussing it for a while,
Sure,
different issues, so it isn't a new issue.
right.
Yes, John?
You know, I hear this comment about the other senior centers, and I think they're all well taken, but I can stand to be corrected on this. I think Westborough was one of the first senior centers to be built in this area.
Yes, it
and
was
all
the
others
first
are
one.
new.
It was the
So-
first one to be used all town money and no like HUD money or
Yeah.
ABC
So
money
as
or
you,
whatever.
as you go around, they are new and they are brighter and they are bigger and more accommodating to the seniors, but we haven't caught up to that. So we were the model and they built on that.
But they did.
Well put.
I don't mean to imply that I'm gonna leave Westborough to go elsewhere, but I lived in Northborough years ago, and I go to people at Walker Meadow, I go to Northborough. Well, that's your choice, but we're pretty darn good right here in this building, and we're very fortunate to have a caring staff. And yes, I was a recipient when my husband was so ill of caregiver meals. And oh my gosh, when your doorbell rings and you open the door and there's a meal passed to you, homemade, delicious, etc., it made quite a difference. I don't know if other senior centers do these types of things,
Not that I'm aware of.
but
I think in order for us to sort of move forward with the senior needs assessment, we have to really acknowledge all the wonderful things that we do here, but we have to be open to new ideas. So, I think it would be helpful for us if we identified, or if you all identified someone on the council that could be part of this working group so that we can start to develop this plan, which would come back to you at some point to review and weigh in on. So I don't know if anyone's ready to
idea.
put their hat in the ring to work with Tim. Not that that's bad, I know that sounded really bad. I don't know if any of you want to work with him, I guess. Sorry, I didn't mean it that way.
I just keep thinking ahead. 5 years from now, I'm going to be probably way too old, but I would love to be able to participate in something like that, but I have to face reality. And
Well, you don't necessarily have to still be here in 5 years. You just have to get it started at day one. I don't know.
October 1.
Yeah, really. As long as you're here by October 1, then you're good for the rest of it. Yeah. So,
So Shelby was just saying we should talk about the commitment, because it's obviously it's a short time frame. So if anyone's planning to, be away for the summer, then obviously that wouldn't work. I mean, it would probably be, I would say, once a week probably once a week commitments to these meetings to get it done in that time frame.
I'll be away for 3 or 4 weeks. My son's getting married in Canada, of all places. So I will be away. But I do want to say I appreciate the fact that this is the original building and everything that everybody has said about how good they are here. However, time was spent on the survey.
Yes.
We have results. We should address them.
Yep, we need to find in mind.
So, who's gonna volunteer?
I'll vote.
Okay, Bill?
there you go.
I'll stick my hat in the ring.
And Bob,
I'll be,
Well, it's,
happy to.
John,
3.
that it's only one representative for
Well,
the
we were
committee.
thinking one member of the council, so if you all wanna
No,
decide.
draws.
I think there's an opportunity though for there to be, well, there might be one sort of official member of the board group. There's probably an opportunity for some work to be done between meetings.
Right.
You could pull in some more representation.
That's what I was thinking too.
I think we should have some special meetings of the board here to sit down for those members who are not on vacation and hash out ideas and list them and then present them to Kim and her committee.
Absolutely.
So we could probably expand who's going on that group, but I think there's a lot of other work to be done of the Council on Aging as a full council with related to programs and things like that. So if you were gonna set up a whole other committee, we wouldn't wanna be duplicating effort, I guess.
My experience with the original library committee of 12 is that too many do not work.
Yeah.
But I do think we should have two people
Okay.
on our,
Alma will be there. so
I'll be there
it
too,
will
but
be
yeah, but I
two.
don't count though, so.
Counting
I'll let you look at it,
Oh,
I
yeah.
think you need two people.
Not if somebody's unable to make it.
Right.
Yeah, that way if somebody's unable to make it,
Right.
there's.
Plus you get a different perspective too.
So is it you two?
Did I see a hand on that side?
I don't know.
Oh, yeah, Bob and Bill.
Bob and Bill, okay,
There you
okay,
go.
good. You okay with that, John?
EMD, yeah, absolutely.
John, you'll be our alternate juror.
Thank you.
When would you want us to be somewhere, and, you know, can you give us a heads up, Bill and me a heads up on when you would like us to be somewhere?
Yeah, we can compare calendars maybe after the meeting and see
Okay.
if next week we could get rolling.
Sure. Okay, good.
Okay. All right.
Kim or Christie, do you have anything more to add?
Rich. Okay. Moving on. So one of the, and I don't know, I didn't realize it was June. Nancy Fallon, Dan, who I know is not going back on the council, and then the one vacant slot that was Sue, and I don't know who the other person is, because this got kind of messed up. But I need to know who is staying and who is, if anybody's leaving besides Dan and Sue. So we would have 2 vacancies on the council. Everybody else is staying?
I'd like to stay.
Okay.
So Alma, I know most of the other members have terms that extend beyond 23, so Nancy's is up and I know we received your letter of interest leaving the board. And Dan is the other member that's named that's up, but he has not submitted a letter. And then Sue is, I guess, has resigned.
Well, Sue resigned.
Right,
That
so
was
Sue
never.
and Dan would be the only other 2 seats that are not up for reappointment this year. Everyone else is like 24 or 25.
No, I have the list right in front of me.
I'm just going by what's on the website. for your
Okay.
information.
So I'll talk to Dan. I don't know what his status is, but he had told me that he wasn't gonna go back on, so.
Now, do I have to go before the board again?
Yeah, their letter.
They're gonna take up appointments and reappointments tonight, so you're on the agenda for that.
Okay.
But you don't have to be.
But I don't have to be there. Okay, I just wanna make sure if I'm supposed to be somewhere.
This is smoke signal from your house.
Yeah, exactly.
Carrie, what's that commercial with the carrier pigeon and the?
Yeah.
Okay. So I have been working on the summer programs. As most of you know, we are open Tuesday nights starting July 8th, July 11th, I believe, that week. And then we close at 1 o'clock on Friday after we've served lunch, which is our Friday thing. We will continue to do the grab-and-go lunches during the summer, but we're not gonna do dinner at the back door because we're here on Tuesday nights. The Memory Cafe will continue through the summer. We've figured out how to do that. Stephanie's gonna be away in August, but I think that between Mary Ellen and Kristen and I, we can pull it together. So the trip to Maine is scheduled for August 24th, and the trip to Wright's Farm, which everybody keeps asking me about that. I guess everybody liked it more than I thought. August 31st. And then Tuesday nights, I actually spoke to the supporters last Thursday for their meeting, and they are going to pay for all of our entertainment for the summer.
Awesome.
For our Tuesday nights, which totals $1,564, which I thought was wonderful.
That's great.
Let's see
Can
what
you tell
else.
us some of the Tuesday night programs, or do you not know yet?
No, I have them all done. On the 11th of, I don't know what you're eating yet, but I know that they're all
I
done.
don't care.
On the 11th of July is the Flashback Band.
Okay.
On the 18th is Kevin Driscoll. He's a ventriloquist. You might have seen him on Chronicle.
Oh, yeah.
On July 25th, it's Christmas in July. That's gonna be fun. You'll have to wear your, I can't ask you to wear your Christmas sweaters, although who knows, it might be 40 degrees in July, with the way the weather's going these days. But you'll have to wear your Christmas bonnet. So you can be very, very creative there. On the 1st of August, Trade Secret from the Narragansett Barbershop group will be back that day. On the 8th of August is Steve McGovern. He was here last Wednesday for music at lunchtime, and he was wonderful, and everybody came in and said, "Can we have him back?" And I said, "Well, I just happen to have an empty spot there."
And what date's that?
August 8th. On August 15th will be breakfast for dinner, which we usually do every year. We do pancakes and sausage, and it's free if you bring a box of cereal for the food pantry. And it just so happens that Phil Kittredge is going to be here that night doing a walk around Westborough in 1890,
Oh.
which sounds very cool.
Mm-hmm.
The firefighters cookout will be on the 22nd. They moved it up a week because of their vacation schedules and such. And then on the 29th, we'll finish up the summer. I hate saying that. We haven't even got there yet.
Okay.
It's like we'll finish up the summer with the square dancing, which was also something that everybody asked if we could do that again. So I'm happy to do that. So, and that was a lot of fun last year too. So.
I do it every week with them now because I met them that night.
Oh, okay.
Last
that's
every
nice.
Thursday night, and it is still a lot of fun.
It is. And then I'm looking at a couple mini trips. One of them was to Southwick Zoo. I actually asked the supporters when I was here the other day if anybody thought that would be an interesting trip, and they all did. So I was like, okay, we'll go with that one. Wednesdays is their reduced admission for seniors, so we'll do that one. I just haven't got a date from them yet. And then the logo contest will go in, we'll start that the beginning of July. And I wrote up some artwork, must be original, not computer generated. The name should be incorporated into the design and so on and so forth. And the supporters are giving us $100 for a prize for the winner. And I'll need a totally unbiased
Judges.
group of judges. It might have to be like the town manager or something, and I don't know, we'll see. I had also asked them if they would be interested in working on a quilt. I've had some people ask, why don't we do quilting here? they'd be willing to support that and then get the quilt made and then sell raffle tickets through the end of the year for the supporters. They did really well on the May calendar raffle. And a lot of people won nice gift cards and were very happy, so. Like I said, we'll still continue with birthday lunches, we'll still continue with, like I said, the memory cafes and so on and so forth. The new veterans agent is gonna be here it started out being the first Monday, but we've had to move it a couple times because of holidays, but he'll be here one of the first couple of Mondays in the afternoon to see people if they're interested. Which is a nice thing to be able to provide, because sometimes it's a little less scary to walk in here to talk to somebody if you need help than it is to someplace else, so.
Unless I missed it, did you mention the ice cream trips? You usually have a couple ice cream trips.
No, I forgot those. Yes, we'll be doing a couple ice cream trips, so.
Those are my favorite, so.
Yeah. And those are usually just a quick trip in the afternoon. We go to JJ's in Upton and stop at Kelly's at the farm stand. And I think last year we went to Trombetta's in Marlborough?
Right.
We've been to Davidian's, so it's kind of, it's just a little quick afternoon trip just to get you out of your house. The bus rides to the senior center are free during the months of July and August. And that's kind of to encourage people to come up here in the air conditioning and be comfortable, especially if it's hot. I'm anticipating we probably may end up doing some cooling centers this summer, which is fine. I don't mind being here in the air conditioning on a Sunday. I can get caught up. And I'm open to other suggestions. I've got some of the newsletters started already, but I'm waiting for, like I said, just a couple dates to confirm. And like I said, we've been doing the music at lunchtime, which has gone over well. Last Friday, the menu that came from Springwell was quinoa stew, that we've had it once before, and most of it made it right to the trash. It was very unappetizing looking, so we had decided we were going to do something different, and so Stephanie and Mary Ellen made American chop suey, and we had something different for lunch. And then this coming Wednesday, because it's not a grab and go day, and it's just because it's June, we're going to do hot dogs and French fries and have Chris Carter back here on Wednesday. So yeah.
Did you ever go to Tuga's Farm for strawberry shortcake?
Oh, that's a good idea too.
Strawberries are real in June.
Can we go now?
Where's
I
the
want
bus?
ice cream when you said ice cream.
Is it real
and I want
biscuit
strawberry.
shortcake or
Yeah,
pound
yeah,
cake?
it's very good.
Do you need a scout? We can scout out all the.
Sure. We need a field trip to check out some of these places. That's a good idea. I hadn't thought about that. And strawberries are almost pickable, I think, up there.
They are.
Okay.
So,
Last
it's on
email.
my list for this month.
And they get, I always think, when I think of them, I always think of apple cider donuts because those are the best.
Yeah, I know, but
You know what Davidian's is? Before you get to Davidian's, there's a road.
And you go up
What's
that
that,
road.
Tuga's?
Yeah.
Tuga's.
That's what I'm asking, yeah,
Up and
thank
up
you.
and up.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
It's a windy country road to get up
Right.
there, but it's worth it.
How do you spell
Tougas.
See, they do. It's like a chorus.
I think we need an ice cream truck to drive around to all the town buildings every afternoon.
That's great.
Like a hayride,
Yeah, why not?
bus ride.
We also have gotten some response back from a couple groups that want to help out on Tuesday night, including some people who work for the town. So we'll have some company on Tuesday nights to help out. Yeah. So it should, like I said, it'll, I always, the first night I'm all excited and then all of a sudden it's over. So it's kind of and then we start fall, and we're gonna have a great big giant health fair here in the fall. So, Jim's already working on that. So that's what's happening. We don't usually have a meeting in July. Do we want to have a meeting in July? Maybe later in the month, since I'm not sure.
Before 4th.
Well, yeah, that's not gonna happen. Maybe after the other committee has met a little bit, do we want to do that? It doesn't matter, it doesn't even have to be on a Monday, it can be whenever, everybody can get together.
I think it would be a good idea to do so.
I
Yeah, I agree.
We can take that meeting to talk more about the community center or whatever, and communication getting more communication out there,
Yep,
stuff like that.
yep. Sounds good.
I do send stuff to the community advocate, it just doesn't always get in there, so. It's frustrating.
I'm sorry, what date will the summer meeting be?
I don't know, what do you wanna do? Like I said, we don't have to do it on a Monday, we can do it whenever you want to.
Does it have to be formal, Alma? Can you just have a,
If there's more than 5 of you in the room, yeah. It has to be posted.
pick the right 5?
That's why I always say 3 people on a committee, don't get carried away.
How about July 17th?
That's fine with me.
What is that?
That's a Monday.
Should we pencil that in?
17th, good?
Seems fine to me.
Okay, then I'll do the movies on the 10th or the 24th.
You need to be here.
That doesn't interfere with.
Are you here?
Okay.
No, Bob.
Yes, yeah, I'll put that down.
Okay.
At 1 o'clock, yeah.
Do we have anything that's put into Westborough Connects news?
We have, when we've had like big events, they've put it into their newsletter. But they don't put our everyday stuff in there.
Probably link to it, though, to the senior scene, for sure.
Yeah, maybe. I'll
We
talk
have
to.
board meetings tonight, I can bring it up.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'll talk to Kelly, but I think that, I'm not sure how many seniors are connected to Westborough Connects, because it's really kind of a,
No,
It
there are a
seems-
lot.
okay, well, I'm wrong again, so,
No, the distribution is about 1,500 people, so, and there's a fair amount of people who are not young, I guess I'll say, not kids.
1 o'clock, I guess, I assume.
Sunday, they will be seniors.
That's right, we're all seniors.
sadly, that happens faster than you think.
If they're lucky.
The other thing is that, right after our last meeting, there was the, meeting about the open meeting and public records. I know that Linda was there, Guido was there, John, who else?
I was there.
All right, 4 of you. So this is a copy of the slides. So if you weren't at the meeting, if you were there, you got one of these. If you weren't there, take one and something else to read, because,
That's why I don't belong to a book club.
We also have the link to the actual presentation.
yeah.
So if that's
On the
easier
website.
than
Yeah.
reading the slides, we can send that to, it's not on the, I'll send it to you and you can send it out.
Okay, all right.
This print is small.
Yeah, well, and it's sometimes easier to hear the context, but
Is it on the TV channel or is it a separate link?
it's a separate link, yeah.
Alma, could I ask a completely different question?
Sure.
As a new resident, as well as Cole, do you have a generator in this building?
Yes.
So is it, when there's no power for either heat or AC, is this building then open for particularly seniors or others who need it?
Yes.
Does it get open?
Generally, yes.
How long does the power have to be out for the center to be open? Like we just lost it for an hour maybe recently.
I think it's up to the fire chief what he wants to do, basically, because he's our emergency management director. But I know that there have been times when power has been out in most of the town and we've been open for days.
So he calls that, he decides?
Yeah, you'll get it on Code Red. If you read this month's newsletter, there's a thing in there about hurricane preparedness, and sign up for the FEMA app and website is awesome, and then the town's code red so that you're notified of all of that. And if you have a landline, have them call your cell phone, because sometimes if you lose power, you also lose your landline phone like I do.
Yeah.
If it's a bundle from Spectrum or whoever.
So if it is open, who is here to let people in?
Oh, somebody will be here. A lot of times it's me. Fire department's here, the police department's here.
Somebody would be
Yeah,
here. if the
somebody would
building's
be. I mean, if they call and say the senior center's open for heating or cooling or whatever, someone is already in the building.
open. Are there other buildings that are open, like the library or other facilities?
The fire chief is the emergency management director, so he makes sure that there's staff here. Sometimes they push people towards the library because it's open on the weekends, so that'll be part of the message. If we lose power for an extended period, then they might open the high school because it has shower options and things like that.
Thank you.
But for short term, we're here.
It's usually here, yeah.
Is there any other business? Rita?
Well, just the same business, just to help Bill get started on the working group. Maybe those of us that have some ideas, maybe we should write them down and hand them, somehow get them to Bill, so that you have, some inputs from the rest of us, some ideas, just rather than wait till our next meeting.
Bill, do you have an
Get together
email?
and talk it.
If you want.
I
I'm on the hook.
You're on the hook now.
You raised your
Can't
hand.
get off. What's your email?
Right now, it's not working.
What is your email?
Well, that's debatable because I can tell you what it is, but no one says they can get through.
Oh,
Do you want to send to Kim?
Yeah, and I can,
Is that easier?
and then we
Yeah,
can coordinate, yeah.
okay. What's yours?
It used to be Verizon, but then AOL took over.
There you go.
Thank you.
You are welcome.
Anybody else need Kim's email?
It's
Probably on the
standard,
town
it's standard
website.
town email,
Okay.
except it's K
Yeah.
Foster instead of whoever else.
Right.
I hate it when people say, oh, it's so long. It's like, no, it's not. Sudbury
We
and
will be.
Hudson have the
changing
same,
that.
yeah, have the same one. It just looks long because it's spelled Westborough all out. That's why it looks so long.
But it's easy to remember.
I know.
That's all I've got.
Look at that record.
Oh, just, next Tuesday morning, our breakfast with the chief will probably be our last breakfast with our chief, so, please
Thank you.
sign up if you wanna come.
You mean him particularly or the breakfast in general?
Him particularly,
He's leaving.
He is?
Yes.
Yes.
He's gonna leave us.
Oh.
yes, so, anyway. I'm not sure when yet, I don't think he knows when yet either, but,
No, he's meeting with the board tomorrow night to figure out the date, and so we'll announce it tomorrow night at the meeting.
and we don't do those breakfasts in July and August anyway, they start back up in September.
Yep.
If there are no other items to come before the council. Yes, John?
I move we adjourn.
Oh!
I thought that was your
I'll
cue.
second the motion.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.